Oh, now that turret's swinging around. Glad you could join us. Hello, everyone who has absolutely finished a design, only to find out the hard way. Nope, you haven't finished it at all. I am BorderWise, and welcome back to From the Depths. More specifically, new player mistakes. Usual story, we all make mistakes. Don't feel too bad about them. The trick is to learn from them. And thanks again to the people who, on that community post, many moons ago, shared their experiences of being a new player making a mistake and also witnessing new players making mistakes. Very thankful for that. Now, testing. This is a short video because there's really only 3 things to cover, and that is, well, testing, and also testing. So you've made your ship. You've made a nice ship. You're ready to take it into the campaign, or maybe the adventure mode, or maybe you're submitting it for a tournament or something, and you're like, yeah, I've done a good job. I've checked everything. The thing's working as intended. Have you, though? Combat testing is probably one of the most important parts of, like, playing From the Depths and getting better at it and making good, useful craft to play the game with. It is so incredibly basic that, like, I keep getting taken off guard when I see that people are not doing it. And how can you tell that people aren't doing it? Well, let me tell you a story. Many moons ago, when I was doing subscriber craft reviews, leave a comment if you remember that, because that was a long time ago. Ye gods, too many subscribers now, wouldn't work today. You could always immediately tell, looking at someone's craft, if they had bothered to test all the systems. So, like, you know, put the craft through its paces, through its sea trials, if you will. Because not combat testing at all is a big whoopsie, because it is literally the fastest way of finding out if there's anything wrong with your craft. Like, it's so incredibly basic to do. Just, like, I don't know, just throw it against a marauder at the very least to see if it is marauder-proof. Because if your craft isn't marauder-proof, well, don't feel bad, the superior combat vessel is superior, but also you ain't ready for Nita yet, friend. Alright, so take this thing for instance. This is the Icicle. It is a battle cruiser, I don't know, cruiser-type thing, I guess. Seen sterling service in many campaigns, but we're going to pretend for a second that it hasn't. Let's pretend that this thing is steaming out from the dockyard. I've just finished it. I'm like, yay, I'm ready to take on the world with this thing. Didn't combat test it, but, like, how bad could it possibly be? It could be pretty bad, actually. So we're going to switch this thing to combat mode, and we're going to spawn in a marauder over there. This thing should surely kill this thing dead immediately. Why is the main turret not turning? So this is the kind of, like, super basic thing that even a very quick combat test can uncover immediately. Like, oopsie poopsie, main turret not turning. Why not? Now, let us investigate now, because the testing is how you figure out how your ship is doing. So in this particular case, I shrink the blocks. I can't really, like, looking around the turret here. Alright, around turret neck, it seems fine. What's going on? If I shrink all the blocks, is there, like... whoops. Shrink all the blocks and look around here. What's going on? Oh, hello! Hello! How did that get there? So, in this particular case, it's not a super realistic mistake to have a single material container, like, clipped into the turret itself. However, I have before, this is one thing that I've done, definitely, is, like, use the fill tool to, like, fill an area with, say, material storage or something like that. So, like, I definitely use the fill tool over here, and if there was a gap in the, here, into this turret well that I'd forgotten about, I would have filled this area as well, and caused that turret to be stuck, and that would be very embarrassing. So, fastest way of checking whether you have done silly little whoopsies like that, which are easy to miss, especially if you play From the Depths late into the night and you're sleep drunk, or if you're distracted, or if you're in a hurry. It just basically, here's the thing: you're only human, and it's really easy to make a human being very stupid. You just make them stressed, tired, hungry, or angry, or sad. In fact, there's so many ways. But anyway, now our turret turns. Lovely. And so that is something that, like, literally a 5-second combat test would have shown us immediately. Now, there's another nuance to combat testing, and that is not testing properly, so to speak. So, there's 2 proper ways to combat test a craft, and you got to give it a fair test. So if I spawn this thing in against the Marauder, that's not a fair test at all, because this thing is almost 300,000 materials. The Marauder is 42,000 materials. So material cost, along with volume and mass and all that kind of stuff, is a decent metric. Not perfect, it is a decent metric for seeing how good you're doing. So let's go here. That's the Paraiba is a little bit too... Kraken. The more fair test is throwing this thing against a Kraken. So let's throw it against a Kraken and see what happens. So let's see there. Kraken is something that actually likes to murder wood dead, and we're doing quite well here. The Kraken is quite glass cannon-y, but we are more glass cannon-y. Emphasis on the cannon. How are we doing? You are doing at 100%, the Kraken is at 89% health, so alright, so this is a better showing for our Icicle, which we're pretending has no real combat experience at all. Because this craft is a lot bigger and meaner than the Marauder, shocking, I know, superior combat vessel and all that, and it's just closer in terms of size and cost to the Icicle, so that is what I call a fair test, or more fair, exactly. Like, you want to test your stuff against other people's designs as much as possible, especially if you know for sure that the person is a better builder than you. That's how you get better. Or you test from a position of weakness. So, you will notice that when I spawned in that Kraken, I spawned it off to the side. This is a broadsider. It wants to keep things off to the side of it. Like, either starboard or port, doesn't matter. This thing can aim in both directions. But the thing with ships, or craft in general, they need to be able to look after themselves if you're leaving them to their own devices for any period of time, especially in the campaign, and especially in a tournament where you cannot really interfere with the action at all. So, in this particular case, what I'm going to do here is, when I tested the designer, by the way, I pull things into and out of play, because that just sets their speed to 0, it reloads their missiles and all that kind of stuff. And let's test that against the Kraken again, now that the Kraken, which is a front-sider, is pointing at the Icicle. So Kraken actually has an advantage here. And let's see, what did that do? What did that do? That took off 6% health immediately. Alright, so we can confirm. Alright, so the Icicle has already swung round into her broadside pattern. So this test confirms, alright, she can look after herself. She's pretty good. Although, she probably needs to perhaps do a little bit better at that, because that rear turret is not aiming. So, yeah, we have successfully learned here. I honestly thought the Kraken would be doing more damage to the Icicle. Oh, now that turret's swinging around. Glad you could join us. Thank you, diff guns. But anyway, so another way of testing from a position of weakness is to, of course, throw your thing. Throw your craft willy-nilly against something much bigger and meaner than it, and see how much it punches above its weight. So let's go. There's the Buccaneer. Let's throw it against the Crossbones. Let's see how she does. The Crossbones is... how much is the Crossbone? 100... 150... 20... It's about 170,000 materials more expensive than the Icicle, so this should be an interesting test here. And, especially for the campaign, because you may or may not be low on materials, you do want to have craft that can punch above their weight very nicely. And survivability, quite important. Uh-oh! I don't think the Icicle is going to be able to beat the Crossbones. That looks like it hurt a lot. Or maybe she will. She's pretty cram-proof. I'm interested to see how this goes. The final thing about combat testing is not realizing the difference between combat in the designer and the campaign, because this is an artificial test, what we've done. Artificial. It's a video game. Nothing in this is... Shockingly, nothing in you're seeing on screen is actually real. This is not a real ship. I don't know why I felt the need to say that. That was kind of weird. But anyway, in the campaign, things are messy, things are chaotic, you don't always have full control over what's happening. Tournament, that goes double, because you can't interfere at all, and you're basically at the whims of whoever's running the tournament, which is kind of fine, that's kind of the point of a tournament. And in the adventure mode, things spawn willy-nilly, so if you're taking a design specifically for adventure mode in there, like, be prepared for chaos. So yeah, like, honestly, one of the best ways by far to combat test your craft is to actually take them into the context you want to use them in. So, the icicle, not to, like, blow smoke up my own bum here, but, like, this is probably one of the better all-round ships I've ever made. It is affordable, it's fast, it has decent firepower, it's nice and versatile, it is good active defense. You can see it's eating cram volleys like they're delicious biscuits. And, yeah, so, like, part of the reason I know this design is good is because I've used it in campaigns a lot, and it's actually quite different now to when it was, like, when I first built it, because you encounter stuff in the campaign, and that prompts you to upgrade your craft. So, combat testing, the ultimate combat test, is really just getting out there and, like, playing the rest of the game. So I encourage you to do that. It's like, you're gonna fail miserably the first few times you try. I certainly did. But it's worth it. That's how you make good stuff. So yeah, recap. With combat testing, the mistakes people make is not doing it at all. Silly. It's like, come on. Like, it's fun to watch things shoot each other. And not testing fairly or from a position of weakness. And not realizing the difference between combat and the design and the campaign. And there's a particular mental block with combat testing that I just want to mention, like, quickly, is that if you put dozens or hundreds or possibly even thousands of hours into a design, people can and have, it really is not pleasant to watch it get ripped apart. Like, it sucks. Like, it's a sucky feeling. One of the best ways to get around that is to test your stuff against itself. So, if I spawn in the icicle here, I'm going to spawn in its evil twin. And that way, we can see if the thing is A, proof against itself, and we can see what is wrong with it, without feeling like without feeling like a failure compared to someone else. Because, we are emotional creatures, we are human beings, there's no way around that, and, no one wants to feel bad when their stuff doesn't feel as good as someone else's stuff. That's just, it's not a good feeling. And we can confirm that, the icicle is vulnerable to its own party tricks. What the hell? I can't even tell what happened there. What happened there? What happened was... Oh, wait. Seriously, what happened there? I saw a lot of APS bits go flying. Where did they go flying? Did they go flying... Was it just this? I think it was just that. But anyway, this is just a great way of, taking the edge off a combat test, and can confirm the Drunkard song, that thing which I made back in the day, in which I now cannot stand the sight of because it's too big. It's too big, I say. And I could do better, but building giant stuff is, really time-consuming, and I don't want to. I tested that thing against itself, and that's why it turned out decently well for what I was capable of back then. And, yeah. So those are the tricks. Combat test fairly, or make sure to treat your craft unfairly. Really, really hammer them. Really put them through their paces. And realize that combat in the fun sandbox mode is actually kind of different from the actual hurly-burly that you will find in the actual game modes of From the Depths. So, I hope that was helpful. And if it wasn't helpful, I hope you enjoyed me blathering on about the icicle and how cool she is. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps. And there's fun perks in it for you, like a Patreon exclusive Discord at the lowest tier, and at the highest tier, I will build stuff for you. Or draw stuff if you don't need anything built immediately. And do check out my other channels and my Twitch. Links are in the description and pinned in the comments, unless I forgot. If I forgot, please yell at me. And yeah, happy testing, happy From the Depthsing, happy in general. And I'll see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell. is too big, I say.